are you?
Sheesh.
Doctor!
What's up? Hold on.
Hello, everybody.
Whoops.
I want this higher. Hold on. Where's your backdrop?
I missed you a great deal.
No, you don't.
Fabulous.
I don't care about these kids. Yes, lady.
Hey, Lola.
I don't think she likes me.
Okay, that makes sense.
Miss Knoxx.
I need a hair light.
What's up, girl?
Hey, Pooh, hey.
I miss you too. ¿Por qué cantato siete así?
What the hell does that mean?
Yep.
That was not a compliment.
I didn't know you know Andre.
You don't sound nervous. Your name's Bello, right?
No, I need this.
You weren't at Bible study?
I'm a data analyst.
No.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
That is not what I said. But you ready. You good, girl.
Now that was definitely shade. Do they name thing?
3, 2, 1.
It is what it is.
I'm Shaina Taylor.
I'm Riley Knoxx.
I'm Ernest Collins.
I'm Bello Youngfellow.
I'm Dr. Rashan Broadnax.
I'm Tiffany Thomas, and this is We Speak. Welcome to We Speak. Unfortunately, our main host, Byron Garrett, is not with us this evening. I will be filling in for him tonight. Tonight, we'll be starting with a quote from James Baldwin. American history is longer, larger, more various, more beautiful, and more terrible than anything anyone has ever said about it. We are cruelly trapped between what we would like to be and what we actually are. And we cannot possibly become what we would like to be until we are willing to ask ourselves just why the lives we lead on this continent are mainly so empty, so tame, and so ugly. This past week, the suffragists celebrated the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. This gave women the right to vote. 18 million people watched the Democratic National Virtual Convention. Michelle Obama lambasted the occupant of the White House as the wrong president for the United States in her speech at the DNC. A growing list of Republicans are endorsing Joe Biden for president. This includes Colin Powell, Mitt Romney, John Kelly, John Kasich, Christine Todd Whitmore, Anthony Scaramucci, John Warner, Jeff Flake, Joe Walsh, and Omarosa. A new poll shows that 68% of Americans are embarrassed by the United States' haphazard response to COVID-19. The hashtag Obama was better at everything started trending this week. I know that's right. The occupant calls for a boycott against Goodyear after the company bans MAGA hats. Former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin got dragged on Twitter for accusing Senator Kamala Harris of prostituting herself by changing her political positions to get favorable media coverage. U.S. postal workers were seen hauling away mailboxes in flatbed trucks and locking shut convenience slots has caused widespread concern for upcoming mail-in voting. Apple is now worth $2 trillion with a T dollars, making it the most valuable company in the world. A video of 3 transgender women were being beaten and robbed on the streets of Los Angeles went viral. The Texas teen that sued the Houston school system after they suspended him for wearing dreadlocks won a major court decision and will be allowed to return to school with his locks. Diamond and Silk are crying racism after being fired as commentators on Fox News. In spite of complaints from conservatives, the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion duet WAP hit #1 on Billboard charts and drew 93 million streams, most for any track ever in the first week of release. Finally, Pharrell and Jay-Z just released a new single entitled Entrepreneur. This week's show is about I Speak, where our producer Tony gives all of the panelists an opportunity to voice their topics and concerns on what's on their mind. Let's start with Ms. Knoxx. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, actually, you touched on part of what you partly touched on what I was going to talk about. I did a YouTube video earlier this week, and I also did a Instagram live with a trans activist. And basically, the incident that happened in Hollywood with the 3 trans women that were beaten in the street and that were robbed, and no one came to their rescue. I had a very rough week with that because I was really angry about it. But I was angrier once I reached out to friends of mine and even some guys that I've dated, and their reaction to the way I felt about it, which was really strange to me. My biggest thing right now, because you guys have heard me talk about on the show before, talk about trans women and what happens, and all these statistics and all this stuff. So I'm just gonna let you guys know this in case you don't know it. Last year, 27 trans women were killed. That was last year. That's 12 months, right? This year, 28 women have been killed. Trans women of color have been killed, right? And we're only in August. So we've already surpassed last year's. And my biggest thing is because I feel that very few people ride for trans women, and we're at the bottom of the totem pole, to arm yourself, to protect yourself, because it seems that nobody's protecting us. And there were people that were standing in the street, and that was my biggest problem, is not only were they letting this happen and videotaping it, but the girls were screaming, someone called the cops. No one did. The cops even rode by and kept on going. I just thought it was weird that cops would see somebody laying in the street with their head cracked open and ride right by. It was really weird. And this got national attention because the one girl who was in it is famous. She's a famous YouTuber. Eden, the doll is her name. And I got into this argument with these friends of mine because, they felt like, well, they're so pretty. Why did this happen to them? Someone literally said that to me. They're so pretty. And my thing is it doesn't matter, how beautiful you are, what you look like. If someone wants to, cause harm to you because you're transgender, they're going to do it. The same way that if somebody wants to be racist towards you and do something to, or the police want to do something to you and you're a black person, they're not going to care how attractive you are. And then a separate person said to me, well, Riley, you don't have to worry about protecting yourself because, what you do and who you are, and you're so pretty. And I thought, well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? That's the dumbest thing ever. And, I posted that I was, getting several weapons, as I've talked to you guys about on the show before also. And someone said, well, you should not post that because that's not on brand for you. You shouldn't be speaking out about this because that's not on brand for you, which is absolutely ridiculous because I am a transgender woman. And I had to say to them, I care more about the rights of transgender women than I care about my career. And if it comes down to people not wanting to work with me or brands not wanting to work with me because of me speaking out and telling trans women to protect themselves, I'm going to choose trans women 1,000 times every single time. And I think it's really crazy that, although pretty privilege is a real thing, and that's what the live was about that I did with Hope Giselle, it just goes to show you that, this incident goes to show you that in this world, we care so much about getting clicks and views and videotaping things, and everybody's got their phone out and nobody's actually paying attention to what the hell is happening right in front of them. And it just proves my point even further that trans women are at the very low, at the very bottom of the totem pole, no matter what they look like, no matter how famous they are.
Yeah, it sucks because immediately when I read about it and I heard the story, of course, I thought about Riley. And Riley's been doing a good job of educating all of us over the past few months on this topic because it's something that, quite frankly, most people are ignorant of. But the worst part about it is that Black women as a whole are on the lowest part of the totem pole. And to be a Black woman and a trans Black woman, it makes it even worse. I didn't even realize there was a sub-level to the sub-level of the sub-level, right? So we've got a Black woman that has just accepted the nomination as vice president of this country, and they're talking about her like crap. So it's just like, it further supports the fact that just Black women as a whole are not protected. We're not cared for. And I hope this is a moment where Black men really step up and realize that their place in this world is to protect us. Like, we can do the best that we can. Like, Riley's going to get her guns or whatever she's going to get to protect herself. But ultimately, that's a good start for us to start protecting ourselves. But I think it starts with Black men really starting to be the voice for us and be the fist for us and be the hands for us. Because once Black men make it clear that they are not going to accept this type of treatment for Black women, then everybody else will kind of listen in, and hopefully everyone will then eventually be on board.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I also agree with Riley that, you know, it's time to get armed out here, because it's not easy for anyone, no matter race, gender, sexual orientation, or anything within the community. Let me rephrase that. Within the community, is very hard for all of us to navigate this new landscape. And as it becomes increasingly more prevalent, and as we continue to fight for civil rights, physical harm is possible. Ernest, why don't you tell us what you're thinking about this topic?
Well, I think it's my favorite word, very unfortunate. I want to thank Roddy for bringing to my attention some of the things that I may have, and I think we've all kind of learned a lot from this whole situation. And oftentimes I think it's ignorant, especially the person who said to Riley that it's not going to happen to you. That's so not true on so many levels. Hate is hate, and it does not matter. And when the opportunity comes, hate will progress and try to, take its place where it does or doesn't belong. Me as a Black man, I am more aware now than I was before. I've never been the ignorant one to ever say why or assume, especially out loud, why this happened or what did you do, because it does not matter. Just as when a life is lost, no matter what the case is, an ignorant person will come to me and say, well, how did he or she die? That's the most ignorant statement that I've ever heard, because it does not matter. There's a life that is lost. So a life that is lost is pain to not just the family, but other people. This has impacted me greatly, I do think it's sad that Riley has to arm and protect herself just like we all do. But we have to do what we have to do, These are crazy times. And right now, people just feel the right to just think they can say whatever they want to say, and it's really not okay. I don't know what the solution is. However, if there's something that I can do, I'm going to jump on board and be with whatever it is that it takes to save lives, no matter what it is. And my condolences out to those families.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Broadnax, please share.
What I would have to say to that is, it's definitely an unfortunate situation. It's something that we are seeing increasingly. And like Riley stated, it's unfortunate that the numbers have already surpassed the numbers of last year, which seems to be the case with so many statistics this year. This year just is one of those really tough years. But I think that as a community, we have to learn to support one another. And as we start to do that, then we can start to empower ourselves and build ourselves up. And we have to reach out to the members of communities. So within the Black community, we have several sub-communities. And like Shaina said, there's sub-levels to everything. And as we start to look at those levels, look at those levels and then equalize the levels so that we don't look at them as one less than the other, because that's really what's happening. I look at a lot of the crimes, we say the Black on Black crime, right? And then Ernest, you said, ask why. I do often ask myself, why does that happen? And then so my answer is, I feel like most people are hurt people, right? And when that happens, it's always one person hurting the person that they feel that they can get away with it with. And so as we know, and we've seen, I don't know if you guys remember, if you had seen Posed, the television show, they talked about the different levels within the gay community, and they often referenced how the trans community was the bottom of the last level within the gay community. And I think we often see the trans community get the brunt of what goes on because they are viewed that way. Once we start to equalize within our communities and then do so within the Black community, we'll be able to raise each other up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's round it out with you, Bello.
So yeah, I learned a lot, just like Ernest did. I can say for myself that being more socially aware of what's going on in the trans community is very important, especially speaking as a Black man. I think we do need to be more accountable for both our Black Black women counterparts, and that includes our trans women counterparts. I'm also surprised to hear that that the trans community is also at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes into the gay community. I never knew that. I never knew that actually. Being someone from outside the LGBT community, I think that, I thought the assumption was that it's all equal, like they all treat each other equally, but I guess that's not the case. And it's a very sad story that's been told to me. And I only pray that Black men really do we stand up for our Black women, because too many times we've left Black women out in the cold when they needed us the most. But then time and again, we'll see the Black women rush to the Black man's defense. You know what I'm saying? But that same energy isn't reciprocated, or at least it's not reciprocated at the same level as the Black woman does for the Black man. I try my best to tell my fellow Black brothers to at least try your best to speak out if you see injustice. Don't be ignorant, and don't just try to fall for societal pressures of making fun of those who might be different from you. Because trust and believe, it's all fun and games until the finger's being pointed at you, and then people are laughing at you, and suddenly the joke isn't funny anymore. I've been in that circumstance before, and I can tell you it's not a pleasant feeling. That's why I try my best to always stand up for the guy that I can't stand up for himself. So yeah, it's very unfortunate. I want to hold more Black men accountable, including myself, to a better standard.
That's right. All Black men need to be held to the highest standard, the same standard that we hold ourselves to as Black women, because we are the first ones on the front lines on multiple fronts. Okay, Ernest, tell us, what are your thoughts going on this week?
I wasn't ready, but okay. Well, my thoughts are, it's so much. I must stick with the thing that most concerns me and should be concerning the nation, and that is this upcoming election. I cannot stop. It's almost like I'm obsessed with it. Back in the day, I remember P. Diddy, whatever his name is, Sean Combs, whatever his name is, he had this shirt and I bought it and it said "Vote or Die," and it didn't really mean that much. It was sort of an entertaining factor at that time. But right now, really, guys, it is vote or die. To be honest, my true opinion, and this is only my opinion, I don't think that we can survive another 4 years of this, for the simple fact that a civil war could actually take place. There's so much hatred going on. And just like most, and I'm not saying this is a threat, but this is just what I know as being who I am and the culture that I am. When our backs are up against the wall, we come out swinging harder than ever. If all this hate keeps coming out and nothing is done about it, and it's almost like promoted, like it's okay. I see Black on white, or just I don't want to really say that. I don't want to bring it into existence, but it is so important to vote. I was looking at the numbers and listening to some of the numbers. Georgia, Michigan, I think those are two that stood out most, where the majority of the Black people did not vote. And the numbers were astronomical, like in the hundreds of thousands, that could have taken this overboard. This is your life, people. You've got to vote. This is really your life. We have a pandemic that's going on right now that no one has any answers, and the politicians are standing in, and they're not the scientists. So they're actually undermining the scientists, and there are people that are joining in and actually listening to this stuff that's not true. I do want to throw a number out right quick, because before it was something else that Michelle Obama had, but right now, if you want information on how to vote, how to register, what you can do, what's on the ballot, you can go to I think it's, what is it, 411, give me 1 second. Yeah, vote411.org. You can go to that site and it'll tell you everything you need to know, if you're registered, how to re-register. And if you're here in the district, you can actually vote on the day. If you're not registered, you can go right on election day and vote. There's no reason whatsoever, guys. You have to vote like your life depends on it, because it really does. I'm going to keep speaking on it. In my household, we have people that are going to vote by mail. You see the things that are taking place. I'm going to vote. I'm going to stand in line. I'm going to do my part. Listen, and like I did the last election, I encouraged the lady, because the line was long, and it wasn't really that long. We stood in there about an hour, and she was going to leave. And I broke it down to her and told her about our ancestors and the right to vote, and she should be proud. And she actually stayed and thanked me at the end. I think it is my job, my duty, to actually go out and reach the people and encourage them, because this is the listen, the real reality is vote or die is for real this year. You guys have to get out and vote.
No, I totally agree with that sentiment. And, you know, I'll take it one step further. This current administration has put 200 judges on the federal courts for lifetime appointments. That could completely change civil rights, reproductive rights, all of these kinds of things that we hold as valued entities within the fabric of this country are really on the ballot as well. If you care about the environment, if you care about civil rights, if you care about voting rights, if you care about affirmative action, these things are on the ballot as well. And if anything, God forbid, happens to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and he gets another Supreme Court pick in a second term, that's a whole nother set of issues.
By then it'll be too late.
Exactly. So it is imperative that we all, in particular our community, come out and vote and support, whether you agree with Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or any of the other people up and down the ballot. At this point, it's all hands on deck. We just really don't have time. Dr. Broadnax, please share your thoughts.
I would definitely say that it is, super, super important. And I think that most people are of the mind now that I've spoken to, those who unfortunately made the error of not voting the last time or sticking erroneous names on ballots, just doing all kinds of crazy things, that they really understand or have a better grasp of how important that it is to vote this time. Like Ernest said, it's important that we all do our part to ensure that those around us do take it just as serious as we do. But in doing that as well, we have to not only just encourage people, but kind of go back to the days of helping people get to the polls. I'm of the mind, I'm going to be like you, Ernest. I'm actually going to go stand online. It's actually something that I love to do. I like to go around 5 o'clock in the morning and be one of the first few people online. It makes me feel happy, and I wave to the people, down the line and do all kinds of crazy things, because I just don't trust the mailing system, as it stands right now. There's so much going on, and that's my I speak, so don't nobody say nothing about it, okay? But I just don't trust it at this moment. And I really feel like, even though our president is saying he's against it, I think he's against it because he has something else in mind. His thing is delay the election and I'll just be president for some more time, right? If it came down to, yes, like we are getting to now, there is going to be mail-in. I feel like if they tampered with the internet, tampering with the mail is not a far cry. And it's already started happening. Like I said, don't talk about it, because I'll talk about it with my I speak. But go on.
Shaina, what are your thoughts on what Ernest brought up?
It's funny because I was just sitting here thinking to myself, I was thinking about that vote or die shirt, and I was like, I think I've coined what my new shirt is going to say. My shirt is going to say Biden or bust. That's what I wanted to say. Because it's like, I don't want people to vote or die. I want them specifically to vote for Biden. I don't want you voting for nobody else. I want all the votes to be for Biden, because it's Biden or bust. Like Michelle Obama said, if you thought it couldn't get any worse, it can and it will. Mm-hmm. If things stay the way they are for another year, I can't even imagine 4 years. another year, we will be busted as a country. I've never can imagine a time when I've ever traveled and been in other countries and people feel sorry for me. I'm American. Are you kidding? I come from the best country in the world. You should never feel sorry for me. And everywhere we go now, it's like people are like, oh, I'm sorry, Donald Trump. And I'm like, you know what? I can't. I'm about to put that with my whole say. Y'all know how I always say I don't discuss politics, religion, or the guilt or innocence of O.J. Simpson. Now I'm going to have to say, I'm thinking politics. I won't discuss Donald Trump. I won't discuss O.J. Simpson. I'm just, that is now on my list of things I will not discuss in other countries amongst people that's not our people. But I'm with you, Ernest. This voting thing is serious, and it's Biden or bust.
Absolutely, absolutely. We definitely have to make sure that he gets in just for these civil rights, these principles, and who knows what kind of havoc he can do by 2024. Like that's a long time for him to be in power. It's a long, long time. Riley, please, what are you thinking about?
I'm terrified, as I think a lot of people are anxious and terrified in this country right now. I shouldn't be. I don't think anyone should be, but it's just like Ernest said about the young lady that he convinced to stay in the line. They're counting on things like that. And, stay tuned because we still got a little more time before November. They're going to try so much more. There's going to be little things that keep coming up until they figure out a way, and I just don't know. I am scared. I am, because it can get, like Michelle Obama said, it can get so much worse. We think that this is the worst. We think we have hit rock bottom. You ain't seen nothing yet. So 4 more years of that.
They're about to be worse than the New England Patriots. They're going to find every way. They are going to be the Patriots. They're going to find every way to cheat and cheat and cheat to win. And when we catch them doing one thing, like Ernest said, we're going to catch them doing one thing. They're going to move to something else. And then when we catch that, they're going to move to something else.
But pay attention.
It's going to be Spygate. They're going to find a way to cheat.
But pay attention, though, Shaina, because they are going to do, not only are they going to try other things, they're also going to do things to distract you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always something that blows up so that you are paying attention to that, and then you forget about while you're paying attention to that, they slide something else in.
Yeah, and that's called Kanye West. Bello, what are you thinking about this?
Right.
Oh, was that something to even think about?
Not to me, no. Bello.
That's a good note, actually, Tiffany. Kanye West is nothing but a distraction at this point. But I just want to ask y'all, don't you think it's a bit weird how Election Day still isn't a federal holiday? Like, will we all get a day off, like Christmas or Thanksgiving? Don't you think it's a bit strange how after, 400 years since this country's been alive, they still haven't made this a federal holiday?
No, I don't think it's strange. I don't think it's strange at all. I think it is conditioned that way to set up certain things. Like, I think it's deliberate. I do. I think it's deliberate because they count on little things like that for people that don't vote. They count on every little distraction, because sometimes a vote that's not in their favor, a non-vote is better than a vote that's not in their favor. So I think that it's not, it is strange, it's terrible, but I think it's on purpose.
No, I agree with you 100%.
The funny thing is, Bello, here's the thing. It doesn't really even have to be a holiday, and here's why. And a lot of people don't realize it, they don't know it, but your employer has to give you time off to vote. So it's not a whole day off, but they either have to give you a couple of hours off in the morning before you come, or you get to leave early a couple of hours so that you can vote. Most people don't even know that to even ask for that benefit for their employers. And so that's kind of the disenfranchised typically are the ones that don't know. And so that's usually their excuse or their reason for not being able to vote. But no, it doesn't have to be a holiday. You get that time off to do it. You just got to ask for it.
No, you're right.
You know what's so funny, Shaina? I was going to say, I think the election this year is just as, is so important that we almost have to just say either I'm not going to work that day or, well, put it this way, I'm going to take some time off, I'm going to work a half a day, or I'm not going to go to work that day. You know, there's a sacrifice that has to be made. You know, like Ernest and I said, that's a sacrifice to go stand online because you put yourself in jeopardy, but it's just that serious. You know, it's a sacrifice for people to take off of work, especially when they have a job that's not paying them a lot, but it really is just that serious. And I think we have to start putting it in the minds of people that this is such a serious thing that those things we had not thought about before, we have to take into account now.
There are several other countries where it is a national holiday, where the election day is either a national holiday where people get it off, or it's done on a weekend, or some kind of way where they allow every citizen to be able to vote. But this country doesn't want every citizen to vote. They just want to be able to say they want every citizen to vote. Additionally, the Congressional Black Caucus has on several different occasions brought forward legislation in order to make it a national holiday, a federal holiday, as well as the entire Democratic Party. But we know Republicans have stopped that dead cold because that's just what they do. So, Dr. Broadnax, since we're in the vein of your topic.
Oh, okay. So you know, in light of the way the election is going, you know, I wanted to talk about the mail, but not just as it relates to the election, but in general, because now we're starting to see, I think, the precursor to what the election is going to be like. I know personally, I have not received a piece of mail that has not come from Amazon in 2 weeks. I have mail that is in the system that someone has mailed me a month and a half ago and that I still have not received. And so as I started looking at articles online, there was a gentleman here in the Southeast DC area, a white gentleman who said, you know, I have lived in Anacostia for 8 years and mail delivery has always been a problem, but I've never seen it as it is now. And so he talked about the delays and how he would see mail carriers working late at night and up to like 11 o'clock delivering mail. And so now we're starting to see what I think the precursors of what our election can possibly be like. We know that the Postmaster General has cut out the overtime for mail carriers, and they've been instructed basically to take their pile of mail for the day, go out and deliver. If you have time to come back and do another route delivery, then you can do that. But if you cannot, that mail just sits there. So currently there's mail sitting in the post offices that are weeks and weeks old because there's nobody to pick it up. And they've been instructed that every day you take the mail for that particular day. So every day there's piles of mail still piling up. And then the most recent, they talked about even here in Maryland, how they have pretty much like 16 large sorting machines. For whatever reason, which has not been discovered yet, they've taken 3 of those offline. So not only do you not have carriers or have the appropriate time or funding for the carriers to take out the mail for the day, but you've actually slowed down the processing. These are the things that we have to look out for as we move forward to the election.
Absolutely. And 45 has systematically over time been very, it has slowly been eroding what the post office means, because he knows that mail-in ballots in a COVID crisis will be critical in order to get people to vote. And Republicans have a policy that the fewer votes, the better it is for them politically, because they are a minority party in the fact that the majority of the American populace does not vote Republican. Therefore, they have to systematically eliminate the number of votes or the way that it's done or how it's conducted. And originally that was going to be my I speak. Bello, what are you thinking about the post office and how it's working these days?
Yeah, I think this is a total glimpse of what we're gonna see. It's funny because I actually ordered a pair of shoes about a month ago, and I ordered expedited shipping from the retailer, $63 extra. Let me give you a timeline. I ordered it on Monday, and that means expedited shipping. I was supposed to get it on Thursday, right? The total cost was like $200 with an extra $63 for the expedited shipping. I didn't get my shoes until the following Tuesday of next week. And that blew my mind. But we're not here to talk about my woes. I got the shoes anyways. But the point is, though, like, this is definitely like going to be a problem. I'm definitely going to I share the same opinion as Dr. I don't know how to say your name exactly. Broadnax, right?
Yeah.
Broadnax, exactly. I share the same opinion with Dr. Broadnax, and I don't feel comfortable just sending my ballot in through the mail. There's so many opportunities for errors to occur. I might as well just go over there myself and do it. And if it means I got to take a day off work, I'm going to do it, because for real, like, my job isn't as important as the fate of this country at this point, because this guy cannot be in this office. And I really want to express my fellow millennials, including Riley, just sit in the house and just write our ballots in the mail and send it. There's so many opportunities for it to all just go to waste if we just sit here and do nothing. Go in, wear a face mask, bring hand sanitizer, bring a book just in case the line is too long, and vote that way. Period.
That was shady.
You know I got love for you.
Oh, no. You weren't shady. The system was shady, because when you said that, it froze up.
Oh, yeah, I can't speak for the system. I can't speak for the system.
It's so weird, because normally my mail comes around like 3 or 2 or 3 or something like that. And, you know, depending on when I will, on the day, because I don't get a ton of mail, like it's normally junk anyway, but if I'm expecting something, I will. I go down and check it like 8 o'clock at night. Do you know that the mail lady was putting the mail in there and I had to turn around? I'm like, it's like almost 9 o'clock. Are you kidding me? Why is the mail just coming? And I had no idea. And I know what's been going on with the postal system, but it just didn't register for me. It's so crazy, because there's a lot, and I heard someone talk about this today, how there are a lot of people who, like elderly people, who get their medication via mail or different things like that, and they're not able to get those things. So they're not only messing with them, but they're also, you know, they can't get out and vote too, you know? So I don't want to say the F word, but I'm scared. Like I said it before, I'm scared because this is nuts, and this is blatant, and I just don't understand how this administration gets away with doing things out in the open, and it's so apparent that they're doing it, and they still just get away with it. This man is freaking nuts. It's like he cannot be stopped, and I really am hoping. And see, there's the thing though, because if he doesn't win the election, then they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, there was tampering, and you know, there was a problem, and this, you know, they're going to try to use what they've done in their own favor. So I don't know.
Yeah, you know, for me personally, regardless of the mailing system, my mother is a senior citizen, so I told her to get her ballot in the mail like now, so that there is no excuse that her ballot wasn't delivered. Now, I don't know if they're going to mess with the ballot, tamper with the ballot, kind of lose the ballot, but I would rather her be safe, even if I choose to stand in line. Like, she's too old to be standing in no line. So she needs to mail in. She needs to mail in yesterday. And I would tell all of our senior citizens, and when I say I mean super senior citizens, those 75 and above, yes, y'all go ahead and mail your ballots. Please do so as soon as possible. But us younger people, regardless of if we're in the millennial bracket or not, we can do the work of standing outside.
But Tiffany, I have a question for you, and because I think you probably know the answer to this. What is the legal, like, what's the legalities with this? Like, there's got to be something. Like, I know you guys always say, like, you know, if he doesn't win, he's going to jail anyway on something else or whatever it is.
Right. On the things on the Miller report.
Right. What exactly is is there something that legally can be done, or is there something like tampering? And I mean, I know it's probably something you'd have to prove, but.
Right, and they won't be able to prove that until post-election. So if they were going to say, because obviously he's clearly in violation of federal election rules and regulations. Like there could be a whole entirely new Mueller report based on just what he's done for 2020. So there are violations, and it won't be financial violations like it was previously, you know, with paying the prostitute, whatever. There are significant laws that he is continuing to break, but he is being sheltered under the veil of presidency. Ernest, tell us your thoughts on the mail.
Okay, so several things. First of all, Trump says he's against voting by mail. Him and his daughter votes by mail all the time. How ironic is that? And just to be clear, I live in Southeast. I live in Anacostia, and it is very true. Matter of fact, my mailman just passed by a second ago, and it's late. I don't know if the time's going to coincide with when this airs, but it is extremely late, and my mail usually comes about 1 or 2 o'clock. And it is true here in Anacostia that we do not. I've gone 2 or 3 days without getting mail. Once again, during this pandemic, I share with the panel. You guys know I don't do this. I don't do a lot of things by social media. I don't order by mail. I don't wait for things because I try things on. Everything that looks good on a mannequin doesn't always look good on me. But I've had to trust the system due to the pandemic. And my stuff has come late. Unlike Bello, when I do something that's express shipping and it doesn't come, you've got to refund me. You have to compensate me somehow, Bello. I encourage you in the future. $63, man. I would have paid probably $10. They have to refund something to me. Or anyway, back to the thing. The Postmaster General is due in Congress. I can't wait to see the results of what's going to happen. He's going to have to be accountable for what he's done. He's removed mailboxes that he's not going to replace. And to the elderly, I'm going to say, do like I did us back in the day. Don't go with, pray over that mail, because I'm like a lot of people. I'm very skeptical about dropping my ballot off because anything could happen. It could get thrown away like the Chance did back in the day in the ocean. Anything could happen. But I do understand those that can't go vote. This is why I'm going to actually go and do it in person. These are challenging times, and we must take drastic measures to make our point and get our point across. I'm done.
Shaina, final thoughts.
I think the funniest thing is this is, we know, is the classic magician trick, right? Misdirection. Your hands are over here doing one thing and you're doing something over here to pull the attention away. So kind of what we've always said, that there's going to be some type of a distraction. So this whole mail thing is the setup. It's the whole setup to extend the election. And if it doesn't make it where he gets extended, it's for him to be able to ask for a recount, for him to say that it's not just, for him to petition it, so that he's already made it clear that he's not leaving the White House. If he's not leaving. So he's not going to concede. He's not going to accept what the voters have decided. And so this mail-in vote thing is going to be huge. I'm actually looking, here's a prediction. We need to have something on the screen. Prediction. Okay. I predict that they're going to come up with something, hopefully. And that something, I think, looks like there should be some types of drop boxes. There should be mail drop boxes for the mail-in ballots. So that
specifically
the post office,
Absolutely.
for the ballot, so that the post office is now not processing all of these. There needs to be some type of a drop box where you can come and just drop the box. And then those boxes are FedEx or not FedEx, most likely UPS. Have those UPS to a specific site so that they're then counted somewhere that's top secret or ever what it is, whatever they decide. But all of them need to go, and not trust all of it to have to go through the post office, because that's too many hands that it has to go through. And we know that UPS has a better operating system for distributing mail and processing mail. It's not FedEx. UPS is completely different because those are actual union employees.
Right.
And I think, and more often than not, they're going to be non-biased and bipartisan, and it's not postal workers that are employed by and put in place by Donald Trump or by the administration. I think they should go a non-partial way, take it out of the Postal Service's hand, and let's go with private industry. They contract out a lot of other stuff. I think that should be something that's contracted out.
Screw UPS. Can I get an armor truck?
So Shaina, So Shaina, what they're doing now is they're putting, because of all this stuff that's exposed, and the Postmaster General is supposed to be going before Congress, he's making changes and undoing the things that he's done slightly before he stands before Congress. But they're putting out boxes just for ballots only at certain places in Maryland and in Virginia. This kind of just came out. So what you're saying is actually going to come to play. I just don't know who's going to monitor those. That's what scares me. I see a lot of visions in my head that I don't want to bring to fruition, things that could happen in the midst of. This is why I'm going to actually go and vote. But I do understand those that can't, and there are going to be availabilities. We just pray against them sabotaging something that could be successful, because I still don't trust this Postmaster General, just like I don't trust 45.
Yeah, the elections are run by the Secretary of State. So every state's Secretary of State handles the election and the election-related materials. So if there was a mail-in ballot, that's where it would go. It would eventually reach the Secretary of State's office for each individual state, and then it would go to the Secretary of State nationally. Now, with that said, because I always got a but. With that said, in particular in states like Georgia, Brian Kemp, who was running for governor, was also the Secretary of State at that time, and we know what he did to ruin that election and make sure that Stacey Abrams did not become the first Black female governor. So trusting these red states with their and their Secretary of States is questionable at best.
Well, you know what, Tiffany, let me just say this, that I think what you just said, it definitely applies all the way to the top, because, and this is the problem that I have with the mail-in, is we just don't know. Once it leaves your hand, we have no idea what happens. And so, like you said, now suppose if the Secretary of State happens to be in favor of Donald Trump. So you have all this mail that comes in, say it's sorted, but then certain ones get discarded. We have the imbalance of the election again. So my thing is, and this is why I said it, to me, it's almost like you have to have, you want to say you have to have a independent, nonpartisan, but is that really possible? Would we ever know? I could say I'm independent and I'm nonpartisan, and I go in there and toss out. How many times do we go to, or not we, but how many times do you hear people go into court and they ask the questions, the prosecutor will ask the questions, to eliminate the people from the jury. And they're asking, and the person is like, they don't really tell the truth, or they do tell a lie purposely to get off. People lie, and because that is the case, we just cannot be sure. So I say, pack up your bags, get in your wheelchairs, get online, push the button, and keep it pushing. We have to look at it. If we will, go to work just because our jobs say that we're essential, and we go to work, there are things above that, to me, that require our dedication just as much.
No, I 100% agree with that, and especially for folks that are living in the state of Maryland, because the Maryland Secretary of State has been super problematic already as it pertains to elections and election rigging and more things than a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. So we're going to move forward.
Go ahead.
Shaina, what's your topic today?
So my topic is, it's kind of personal, but it's public, right? So I have this thing about people. So when I'm traveling and I'm looking around and I see these Trump 2020 signs, and I think I find that it's okay if it's like a nice, big, pretty house and I'm looking inside, I'm like, oh, those people are rich. And then you see the little white kids running around. If you're rich and you're white and you're for Trump, I can understand completely why you have his sign out. Now, when I go to somebody's house and it's like a rundown trailer park, I'm like, why? That man cares nothing about you. You are not even a part of his protected class. So you shouldn't have his sign in your yard, one. So then when I see a Negro, a Black person, a Robert, and they have a MAGA hat on, we talked about this, my brother is a huge Trump supporter, And he ain't rich, he ain't white, he ain't even rich and black. So it's just like, what is your thought? Like, how can you support someone who thinks or cares nothing about you? Now take it one step further. I'm gonna have the producers put this photo on the screen if we have it available.
Oh, baby for Trump. That's so cute.
No, it's
said it's
not.
cute?
No, it is not cute.
That is, first of all,
that's cute?
the baby
The baby
is
is
cute.
The baby is
Okay,
cute.
The baby is
so
cute.
thank you.
And I don't
So
even
thank
like
you.
children.
Well, show the top part of it. Show the top part of it, Tony.
And what is
See
that?
what's
Donald
circled
Trump
there?
retweet? Of course.
Babies for Trump. Oh,
Okay.
my.
So now the most important part is that that's my niece.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother has my niece with this Babies for Trump little onesie on, and I gagged and died. So I'm like, first of all, my niece cannot have a Babies for Trump onesie ever. Then it was posted on some Black People for Trump whole website, and then Donald Trump picks it up and retweets it. So my brother goes, oh, the baby got to get her own page now. I said, let me find out. So what I cannot figure out is how is it that people who are not rich and white following the man in orange, or hopefully he'll end up being the man in orange, but the orange man.
Oh, he will.
I have a question for you.
New York
Have
is
you
going to
had
see to
this
that.
conversation with your brother? Have you asked your brother why you support Trump, and what did he say?
I have, and he still cannot give me any valid anything. He cannot give me any valid, and my brother is a veteran.
Yet? And you haven't disowned him yet?
Girl, we just happen to have the same bloodline, but I'm just like,
what is Christmas going to look like this year?
What did Christmas look
that'll
like?
Be after the election.
4 years ago. Like, it's crazy. I don't even know. He doesn't even know. In his mind, he just wants to go against the grain. I think he's like a Kanye West type of person.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to go against the grain. He wants to wear that hat so that people will talk to him and there'll be a whole conversation. And I'm always thinking, you just want people to talk to you. It doesn't matter how ignorant you sound or people think you're ignorant. And he's a smart guy. Like, my brother is so smart and he's got a lot going for him. But I'm just like, dude, I guess you just can't be perfect.
So he's going to make a page for your niece, Babies for Trump?
Oh, she's got a whole page now.
Okay, and is he prepared for the backlash that's going to come with that? And he's already subjecting her as a little baby when she doesn't even have the thoughts and ideas to protect herself. Oh, that's kind of.
That's how Trump supporters think, not think, right? They think, not think.
I wouldn't even put Biden on my baby. I wouldn't do that to a baby. Right. Like, I wouldn't put, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do that to any kid because they're not old enough, and then you're gonna get all this hate towards your page because of people who either support or don't support, and that's a lot. And then you're gonna feel some type of way because that's your baby, you know?
Right. It's like when people put their babies in sports teams outfits. I'm like, your baby don't want to be a Skins fan. Stop that right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ernest, what are your thoughts on this?
So when it comes to I can never understand personally why Black people, and forgive me, this may sound ignorant, because there are, like, I agree with Shaina, there are some people, if you're wealthy, I kind of get it, because it can work out for you in the long run. I'm going to say, to put that baby on there, subject that baby to this, to the rhetoric that he's going to get, that she's going to get, it's sad and it's unfortunate. And you said your brother's looking for attention. I think people like that have hatred in their heart. You have to have you have to believe in some of the policies, because once upon a time, I hate to admit it, but in the very beginning, I'm not going to lie, there's some things that he said that I kind of agreed with, but not in a harsh manner that he put it out. There's some things that but now there's nothing that I would agree with when it comes to him. I'm reminded back in the day when I was in the jungle, Shaina, you remember that, in LA, and I went to vote. This was like my second time voting, which means I was like maybe 20, 21 or something like that. But I went to vote, and I was standing next to this lady, and she is still ignorant to this day. She was slightly obese. slight from having curlers in her hair, just real ethnic. And she walks up in front of all these Democrats, and the lady says, "Are you voting Democrat?" And she goes, "No, I'm as a Republican." I almost lost my mind. Because where are we going with this? First of all, you can't speak proper, and we're not ashamed to lose you. But how can you go to your project-filled apartment in the jungle and claim Republican? I was just lost, man. Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna yield my time to whoever. That's BS, man. I'm gonna yield.
Dr. Broadnax, tell me what you think.
Before you do that, Riley, did you send that video out to other people that you sent to me? Remember what the people are coming out of the White House?
I sent it to Shaina.
Okay, I want to let the other people see it because this thing is heartbreaking. Let me get.
It's not hard. It's not even hard. It's. Oh my God.
Hi. We love our President Trump.
Thank you guys.
We do. USA.
USA, that was
It was
phenomenal.
great.
Americans depart illegal.
It was great.
That was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I would never forget that.
It was wonderful, man. It was beautiful. Absolutely. Look at all these Uncle Toms, right? Free-thinking blacks.
It was fantastic. It was amazing. It's such an honor to have been able to get there and even see the president in person. It was amazing.
I just met the president, man. He told me I was the flyest guy in the room. It was an honor. Thank you. You know, but didn't think I would be here, guy from the streets in the White House.
I never would think I'd be one of the first in my family to be invited to the White House as a black man. You know, not too many people can say that much black families. You know, so it's good that actually happened, you know. I made history in my family.
Amazing experience, lots of regular Americans getting in there, having an opportunity to share laughs with the President of the United States. It was a great experience.
I shook his hand.
Awesome.
I lost my voice a little bit, so I'm sorry.
It was amazing. She had a great time. See the president, see the vice president,
Yes, sir.
see many black American conservatives.
So it was just lit. It was energy. This is our third, just me and her third time. So every time we go, President Trump, he's like so funny, and it's just lit. The energy is amazing every time. Feel warm.
Electrifying, like, I caught chills.
Got a chance to listen to all the things that he's done for the black community, and I'm just grateful for this president.
He made it very clear that he is here to put America first. You know, we have people suffering here, but meanwhile, we're spending so much time and energy devoted towards illegals or people coming to this country unfairly. And, you know, Democrats have made a mess of our inner cities, but he is really trying to root all that mess out and really help people in the ways that are actually effective.
People are waking up. People are changing. Humans are naturally conservative because we're humans. You grow up being told to work hard for what you got. You don't grow up being told you're going to get something because you just want it. You're saying, like, you ain't got to work for it. When I went in the store and I tried to get a Snickers and I ain't had no money for it, mama smacked my hand, put that Snickers back. You feel me? We can't afford that. You know what I'm saying? But Democrats, they say, hey, we give you everything for free. That ain't reality, because nothing is free, because we pay for everything with our taxes.
To see the things he's done for black community, see the things he's done for America in particular, I'm a huge fan now, and he has my support 4 more years, and I'll be voting for Donald J. Trump.
When he asked us, what the hell do we have to lose? I said, that is exactly right. Our schools are horrible. Our communities are horrible.
We got to do something about it.
We have to do something about it.
And he is.
But I know with him, we're going to make a big change here in America.
I think a lot of African Americans are waking up and they're coming to the realization that Trump is great for America.
Trump has done so many fantastic things, not only for, you know, what you think the white people or the rich people, but for the black people, for the Asian people, for the Latino people, for everyone. He has done something amazing, and he will keep doing things amazing. And when he is elected in 2020, he will continue to make this country better than it was before.
It's easy to get excited about our president who is putting your needs first. And that's too often something that we don't hear from the mainstream media, is the way he's trying to help America be the best that it can be. So it was fantastic to be there and, you know, just basically tell him thank you for standing up for us, because we know that he takes a lot of hits from the media for us, and we're so happy to support him.
You gotta love this man, man. He brings togetherness, man, and that's what it's about. Unity as Americans, America first, man.
The media wants people to think that, you know, the black community hates Donald Trump, but that's not necessarily true. This event is proof, and I know you can say it's a small fraction of, you know, the black population, but they have family members and other people, friends who weren't able to come here, that they're ecstatic that they're here.
People like that, right? You think you can bully people to stop doing something, right? Call us coons, all them type of names, right? Usually people run into their little cubby holes after that. But I feel like it's a new movement now, and we want all the smoke. It's really clear. You feel me? Like Antifa, they keep bullying people because people allow themselves to get bullied. But see, the difference is we want all the smoke. Yep. You know what I'm saying? People tell me not to wear the MAGA hat, so I bought the biggest MAGA hat. Then I bought a bigger one. So next time somebody say something to me, duh, common sense, a bigger one. It's simple math, really, when you put it all together. So I feel like we started a new movement, and it's a revolution, and we want all the smoke. That's my message, period.
So many things, but we will not even indulge the ignorance with a comment.
I got it. Wait. I said that wrong. Those are jigaboos. Those are people who've never seen celebrities in their life, and they finally saw a celebrity, and they lost their mind like they do in Hollywood. Oh my God, it's a celebrity. Jigaboos. That's what they are. I'm sorry.
But you know what, Ernest? That's the funny thing, because as I'm looking at it, I said, okay, don't look at it for what they're telling you. Look at it more from a step back. I saw just a bunch of young people, number one, who went to the White House. Like the kid said, I'm the first person in my family to ever get invited to the White House. So it was almost less about him and, his policy, but more about the fascination with them getting to the White House, them meeting the president. Like, think about it like this. How did we respond when, or put it this way, I'll say me personally, when I was invited to the White House for Obama? It was not about his policy. It was not about, what he ran on. It was, okay, I've got invited to this event and the first Black president is going to be there. So when he comes in the room, it's like, oh my God, yes, first Black president. And I'm excited, but more about the person, but less about his personality. And that's what I see from those young people, except for the one who clearly stated, she was more into the illegals and, all that kind of stuff. She's, off to the side. Girl, you getting kicked to the curb. But the rest of them, to me, it was just more about they enjoyed that experience. And I think what they did, the person who shot the video, they took people who enjoyed an experience and now they're exploiting that.
With their ringleader, Candace Owens. Bello, you're closer in age to some of these people in the video. What are your thoughts?
And oh man, first of all, I just want to say I had a great laugh because that was probably the funniest video I saw all day. I mean, the bro said, the dude with the glasses was saying like, oh, he called me the flyest guy in the room and I just fainted. Oh my God. I'm like, oh my gosh, like get a hold of yourself, bro. You really gotta like be called fly by that guy to feel good about yourself.
First of all, you just had on a regular old suit.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, like just do better for yourself. But anyways,
off the rack at that. It was just off the rack.
Straight out of Express.
Period. Oh man. It's disgusting, like how he's trying to brainwash like my generation and the people who share my skin complexion to bring him onto his side. And really, he's just picking up people who obviously are listening to, Candace Owens and people who are listening to that young gentleman with the cowboy hat. I don't know his name. I forgot his name. But he's actually a very like prominent social media character. But if there's one thing I want to touch on is the whole notion of free thinking Blacks and how one person said that, and it really got me thinking. That's what they really think they are. They think that they're doing something different, and by them doing something different, thinking something different, they think that they're doing something better. And that is not the case. They think that since they're not voting for Joe Biden or that they're not Democrats or liberals, they think we're obviously on the better side. Nah, that's not how that works, homie. That's not how that works at all. And I would love to sit down and chat with one of them about the actual policy that he was actually trying to like.
Oh, they have no ability to have a formative policy conversation. And that is where the conversation stops, because you could never, ever see me in a room with Candace Owens. Riley, what are you thinking about that video?
Well, see, here's the thing, because I shared the video with the producer and also with Shaina. And you guys think it's hilarious and it's cute and it's funny and all these people. I don't think it's hilarious.
It's sad.
I think it's sad. It is terrifying to me, because guess what? These are not the only people in America who think this way that look like them. This is a small group of people. And that makes me scared. As I keep saying, I am scared for this election because they are not the only people. They represent a larger group of people in America that think that way. And it is really scary to me that if people who are in the millennial group, who are supposed to be free thinkers and are supposed to be, are more open to a lot of things, think that way and support that man after every single thing that has happened. If you are starstruck by him or being at the White House or whatever the reason is, that is scary. That whole video to me, I shared it because I was terrified of it. That's why.
What's the remedy to that, Riley, is just as those people like Candace Owens will get up and spout her stuff, the same way those people did, those young people got on camera and they spoke their truth. We have to do the same thing. Just as much as they promote, we have to do the same. We cannot sit quietly. And that's why I said, like with Ernest, you have to go. We have to tell people how important it is to vote. We have to help them get to the polls. We have to make sure that they get to the polls because it's just that serious. Part of where I see it, we are deficient is we are not as vocal and as, I'll say, as pushy as Republicans can be. I feel like
we don't cheat the way they do. That's really what it is.
Well, yeah, I don't condone cheating.
Not just the whole cheating thing. I think a lot of times, to his point, a lot of Democrats rely on, well, everybody else is going to do this or everybody else is going to vote, so we're good. So I'm fine because I know everybody's going to come out and vote. We rely on what everybody else is going to do, and we just rely on the fact that, rational thinking people, there's no way that they're going to vote, for a racist man. We rely on that, and we can't rely on just, thinking that everybody else is going to do their part and not do our own part.
And we've seen that because now we saw what happened the last time when we we thought everybody else was just going to, take care of it. And we see where we are 4 years later. I'm sorry, Ernest, go ahead.
Although I'm discouraged by what I saw and not shocked, I am encouraged by the Black Lives Matter vote, the amount of people that we have that are going to swing the vote. I'm encouraged at the DNC campaign that we have Republicans that work the administration that are now finally coming out telling the truth. Although this handful of people may not, we have other people that have seen the truth and who believe. Although I'm discouraged by seeing that, and I won't even say embarrassed because I'm gonna leave that up to Bello. That's that's y'all group of people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm encouraged knowing that there are gonna always be a handful of people who don't get it. There are gonna always be a handful of Roberts. But I'm just hopeful and believing that we are greater as people, and you do open your eyes sometimes and you do realize, hey, I made a mistake. We've all made mistakes, and later, after we realize it, whether we're older or right after it happened, or someone told us, we realize that we made that mistake, and sometimes it's not too late to change. I'm still hopeful. I really am. I'm encouraged, I'm hopeful, and I'm gonna push as far as I can until I can't push anymore.
Bello, please share your thoughts today.
Absolutely, and I'll make mine a quick one. So, ladies and gentlemen, our kids, yes, our kids are in danger of dying this fall because a lot of them are being forced to go back to school. And I had to think of this topic on the spot, but I remembered it so quick because I saw a video on Instagram. I know, right? So millennial. He has an Instagram account. Ew. And I saw this post that one of my friends posted where it was like, it was my alma mater. It was at Penn State. And a whole bunch of freshmen were actually having a party on like the front lawns of one of the dorms. And I'm talking about like, it was packed. It was deep, at least 200 people on that lawn. And none of them were social distancing and wearing masks. And the caption said, LOL, Penn State's gonna close within a week. And I laughed a little bit, but then I was like, yo, this isn't even a joke anymore. These schools really think that opening up physically is going to do something for them. And when I really did some more research and some soul searching, I thought this isn't even about education or kids anymore. It's really just about making profits, because a lot of these schools if they don't open for at least one semester, and I mean like a whole full open semester where the kids physically are on campus, they will literally go bankrupt. And that goes for some of the high-end schools, Ivy League schools like Brown's or Harvard or Yale. They too are also at risk. Some of them don't have big endowments where they can just take an entire year off and still be cool. Some of them the majority of them are honestly at risk of going bankrupt if the kids do not come and pay their tuition. So we're literally seeing, and this is not even just college, this goes for every single level of education from high school down to elementary. We're seeing a lot of these schools putting their bottom line at the highest priority beyond the kids' lives. And do you really think the six-year-olds know how to social distance at this point or know how to wash their hands properly? When I was 6 years old, I would pick my nose and then high-five the kid right next to me. I didn't care. I was a young kid. I didn't give it. And I just exposed myself. But that's cool. I'm out here with friends and family. I'm good out here because I'm here to tell you the truth. Kids are literally in danger, and it's not going to get any easier. I wouldn't be surprised if every single child came back to their households and then accidentally gave their parents or loved ones COVID-19 because they just didn't practice social distancing or safety procedures when it comes to this whole pandemic. And I want to ask you guys, what do you think about this whole schools opening up? Do you think that it's a good thing? Because in some cases, some kids aren't good at learning online because, I mean, let's be honest, learning on a computer is nothing compared to actually being in the actual room with your professor and seeing them face to face. It's so much better for quality time and learning. But on the other hand, though, we can't do that because social distancing. So I want to ask you guys that question. What do you think is a better option, to stick with the whole or, computer-wise with learning, or should we honestly just let this, rock?
Well, you were here last week when I talked about how kids are walking petri dishes and they carry so many damn germs as it is, and how they're going to get coronavirus and then bring it back to their family. And so people are that want to send their kids, they're so quick to send these kids back when kids are already full of germs. But so your whole thing about the kids that I find it hard to learn how to learn online. Well, guess what? They learn everything else online. They learn how to play Fortnite. They learn how to play every freaking game and everything on TV on their computer. I think that's just an excuse. They learn every single thing else on what to do and how to do it. I think they can learn. If it comes down to how the kids need to retrain how they learn, as opposed to contacting COVID and bringing it back to their families, I'm all for a new way to learn, because we do everything else on computers these days. You can literally sit at home and never leave your house and be good because of computers and because of phones and because of information and technology. So I don't have kids, and I don't think anybody else here does either, but I'm all for online learning if it means that we're going to keep people safe.
So, I mean, the only problem I have with that, Riley, is that some kids honestly have some mental conditions like ADD and ADHD.
Yeah.
When you're at home with like a television right next to you or a video game system and, or a computer like in front of you, your mental, I don't want to say mental handicap, but like some of the drawbacks that you might have mentally or academic learning wise could pose a threat to your learning experience. It's not the same when you're actually inside a classroom. You know what I'm saying? So like, for real, you're right. We play video games and we do social media and we learn that online, but that has nothing to do with learning mathematical equations like the quadratic formula or learning how to balance a chemical.
None of that. You can't send them back to school. So what's the alternative?
Exactly.
Here's the thing, Bello. If you can't go back to work, how can you send them to school?
Well, see, that's so far. Go ahead,
I can work from home and like I know how to do the job at least from my home. I'm talking about like a young bull like who's like in middle school who hasn't even developed proper social skills, who probably would dig up his nose and then high five another human being right off the rip. That's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a person who hasn't developed their social skills, who isn't an adult. That type of person is obviously vulnerable to not being able to learn correctly, who can obviously get distracted by a simple Instagram notification from their cell phone, because kids nowadays are so addicted to their cell phones.
Absolutely.
It's easier to moderate kids and to control them if you see them physically in person.
So, but Bello, here's the thing: if it's not safe for you to go back to work, why would we want to send our kids there?
I don't want to send my kids, but I'm just
so
saying.
Then what's the alternative? What's the solution?
For some of the kids though who have like problems focusing at home as it is, it's going to be there is no equilibrium. There is no ultimatum. There is no easy way out of this. It's really just like the lesser of two evils. You know what I'm saying? You got to stay home and just learn from there. But you're in
the same way that people who cannot work right now, who literally cannot physically work right now because their job is something that involves being around a lot of people. Involves being around a lot of people, have to suffer. Those kids might have to suffer right now also.
You know, we have to understand that this is really all about money. Our economy suffers because a lot of things are closed because we don't have people to work and people aren't spending money. So the way to boost the economy is to get people back to work. We got to get kids in school so that people work. So that's one aspect of it. But the other side to it is, just like you said, there are children who may suffer or fall behind because of their learning challenges, right? The same challenges that you have at home, you almost have in a classroom. A child that has ADHD experiences the same distractions because it's not really a thing that distracts them, it's the mindset that goes off track, right? So where at home I'm distracted by my television, but in the classroom I'm distracted by something that just rolled across the floor. You know, so it's they still have those challenges. My point to that is they have to relearn how to learn. And the great thing is when we deal with children, I am very much in favor of children doing online learning now, especially at the younger age, because the things that we learn at a younger age are so much easier for us. That's why you can give a child your iPhone and they're like, oh, and they're doing it. And you're like, okay, well, what did they do? At a younger age, it's so much easier for them to pick up on certain things. It's going to take a little more commitment from the parents to make sure that the children are doing their work, that they have the correct environment. So yes, like a friend of mine actually turned her den. She took her television out of her den, put 2 little desks for her children. She has created that as a classroom space. So your child, if you're sending your child, well, really you shouldn't send your child to their room to do their work. They need to be in a structured environment. So it may have to be the kitchen table. It may have to be on the floor in the living room or something, but where they don't have those things that they can readily reach. You know, like for me, it's funny, like you mentioned earlier, why is my television behind me? Because I'm that person. If I face my television, I will watch TV all day. If I'm facing the opposite side of the room, so literally I almost sit here 8 hours and don't bother with the television because I'm not facing it. I'm facing a wall where there's no distraction. My windows are over here. I don't see those either. And so I've conditioned my workspace to deal with what I have to deal with to get me through my day. In my office, I'm the same way. I face a corner so that I can work. I don't see people and I don't get distracted by that. Like you said, you're a very hard worker and you're disciplined to be able to do that and not have those distractions. But for children, we have to remove the distraction until they can really work within the environment that works best for them. So I think it's going to take a lot more work on the side of the parent. They can no longer say, oh, go to school and let Miss Shaina deal with you for 8 hours and teach you. And what did she teach you? And leave it all up to the teacher. We now have to redraw the responsibility as adults and elders within the household to make sure that our children are learning as we did years ago. If we look really, we always say there's nothing new under the sun. Our world is really going back. We have to look at how it's reverting to where it was. And it's really reverting to a positive place if we really take a look at what's happening. Our situation is COVID, but the changes that we really need to make are really within the household. And that's why we need to latch onto those creative things that we used to do and get rid of the phone, the TV, and all those things. COVID was a time to figure out, what do you do well? You know, how can you go back? How can you make money if you had to be in your house and not have access to work? What could you do to make money to be able to survive? We're looking at how we did in like the 60s, where our parents stayed home and they sewed, they cooked dinners, they did things like that with their hands. I always tell my friends, go back to your hands. God has put everything that you need in your hand.